Some leftists in Finland here. So, what you are seeing on your screen currently is an article that dropped a couple of weeks ago here in Finland about racist doctors. It's translated because I'm not fluent in Finnish, obviously. But I have a bit of an emotional stake in this because I am an immigrant to Finland, and I have at least once, and it's just happened one single time, and I can't prove it 100%. But in my almost 6 years here, I have experienced what I consider to be a lower standard of care from doctors on the basis that I wasn't native, I didn't speak the language, I couldn't communicate very well. And it wasn't solely because I couldn't communicate very well. There were other things involved. I felt like I was being kind of mocked. And that's only happened one time. And you know, I am not trying to say that I've had a wholly negative experience with healthcare as an immigrant in Finland, but a lot of other people are. And it's getting worse the more that immigration increases, the more we're starting to hear about racist doctors. Doctors who not only say really awful things about their patients behind their backs during surgery, but also doctors who will go completely against the oath that they took to do no harm and give a lower standard of care to people just because they're not Finnish. It's happening. And this is just one more reason why why public health care in this country is really going into the toilet. Privatization is increasing because of the conservatives in power. They kind of want things to be a lot more like the American healthcare system, a very small public sector and a much larger private sector to pick up the slack from the public sector that should be getting all the funding. I don't think I need to tell you that Finland's healthcare system has been applauded. It's been envied by a lot of Americans. And a lot of that has to do with the politicians who name drop Finland and just this long list of Nordic countries for all the great things they do and all the great things they provide their people. And now more and more these days, it seems to be the things they provide their native people, and everybody else is just kind of like given scraps. No different with the healthcare industry. A lot of municipalities in this country are really struggling to find workers. They're struggling to find nurses. They're struggling to find healthcare professionals. They're struggling to find people to administer vaccines, for God's sake. Here, where I live, in my municipality, I tried to make an appointment for a flu shot. They don't have anything open until next year. I know it's the end of the year and everything, but still, there are so many open dates around this time of year regardless. And just for a basic flu shot, because they just don't have the bodies. And it's no secret. You know, here's an article about Finnish nurses choosing Norway over Finland. And this is something that's been happening for a while, long before this government took over, but it's getting even worse now. This headline here is something that you'll see in the news at least 3 times a year about how healthcare workers are just getting the fuck out of the profession, whether it's due to a lack of pay, burnout, or they found easier or better opportunities somewhere else. So there is a problem with the healthcare industry in Finland. It is not getting better, and you are not going to attract a lot of foreign help, which you are going to desperately need as your population declines, if these foreign nurses find out that they're going to be working shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of fucking racists. Now, this article is translated, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna go through it. The link will be in the description for you to go through at your own pace. They interviewed 15 doctors. Half of them were natives. Half of them were foreign nurses or foreign doctors. One of them was a nurse. Yeah, it says here 15 doctors and 1 nurse. And they talk about the racist and degrading language they have witnessed in several workplaces and in the doctors' own Facebook groups. And that right there, you know, seeing some of these like right here, like some of these screenshots, knowing that these doctors are basically getting together behind closed doors and talking all sorts of shit about people from foreign backgrounds. This is something you would expect out of a Facebook group for like Call of Duty players, Overwatch players, gamers. I don't know. Like, this isn't something I would expect to hear about doctors. And it shouldn't be a surprise that there are racist doctors, just like there are racist engineers, just like there are racist construction workers, there are racist grocery store workers, across the board. But these are people who took an oath. And these are people who will have lives in their hands, literally, in a lot of cases. And they're demonstrating that they are absolutely willing to give people a lower standard of care if they are not from here. And that is what makes this so dangerous. Not just the fact that they're racist, but that they're letting their racism dictate how they do their jobs. And that's just... I don't think people are nearly nervous enough in this country about how bad things are going to get when the healthcare sector is already in such dire straits. And then you have stories like this. You're going to have a really hard time getting people to come here and work. You're going to have a really hard time getting skilled. People, and a racist watching this will say, oh, I don't care if people don't want to come here and sweep the floors. And like, I'm talking about those quote unquote, those skilled jobs. You're going to really need these people to come and take care of your old and you're sick and you're young. And then you're going to wonder why no one wants to come here. And you're going to blame your geographic location, you're going to blame the language, you're going to blame anything but the fact that maybe, just maybe, you're a little bit too racist and you're just a little bit too ignorant to what's really happening. And articles like this are nice because they expose some of the ignorance from the people in the healthcare industry. Like this comment here, I did do some loose translations, and this basically says the decline of the white race is almost complete. The cowering and groveling in the face of shit says it quite clearly. Paskosakin. It's a fun word, but not when it's being used to refer to immigrants. These are doctors, by the way. These are screen caps from doctors groups. Some very brave doctors decided that they had probably seen enough of this shit and decided to show these things. And, if any of these doctors are mad about this, they have no one to blame but themselves for being sacks of shit. Referring to immigrants, the worm needs a fist, and they'll get one if I happen to see one. So basically saying that they're going to... This is not a whole lot different from what one of the highest-ranking politicians in this country said about immigrants. Rika Purra. She got caught on some blog years ago saying that she's gonna beat up some migrants if she sees them, or she hopes that they get shot. Like, these people are high up in government now, so of course people are gonna feel a lot more emboldened to be public with their racism. Now, would they actually on the street go up to a migrant and say this kind of stuff? Doubt it. Very, very doubtful. But maybe they might take that chance, because if the migrant does something, then they'll probably get deported. So racism is a lot of cowardice. If you want to know who the cowards are in your society, go look for the racists. Go look for the anti-immigrant people. So we go down a little bit further and we see another one. This one it says output of basic desert imports. So... And these are just 3 screen grabs. You can only imagine just how much more shit is being talked about foreigners. But here is where it gets a little, like, not just a little. Here's where it gets quite scary. This is a quotation from a nurse. A person with an immigrant background who received blows to the head in a fight was brought into the hospital. He was unable to speak or move at all. I was about to refer him to a head scan, but my colleagues were of the opinion that it's not necessary. The patient was taken for imaging only when I said that we would not consider the matter if it was a native Finn in the same condition. I have heard of cases where the treatment of native Finns has been prioritized before immigrants when, for example, there have been limited beds or the criteria for access to treatment are otherwise strict. A patient with a foreign background arrived in the office of a doctor in his 30s working in eastern Finland to show his injury, which appeared to be a fracture. An x-ray was taken of it, which showed that it would be good to take the computer images of the injury as well. The doctor consulted a surgeon about the matter, who, after seeing the patient's name, asked if it was a Somali. When the answer was yes, the surgeon confirmed that the patient's pain does not necessarily require strong pain medication, and it's not necessary to continue the imaging. The surgeon suggested plaster treatment, but the doctor still did follow-up scans, which turned out to be necessary. Treatment of the patient required surgery. This is one of many similar cases this doctor has witnessed. And this is all part of something called cultural pain. For example, how some doctors believe that patients with a foreign background exaggerate their pain. And I'm skimming this article. Of course, I'm not going to get to every single last thing. That's why it will be in the description. But these are just some of the worst things. According to Anni Saukkola, not only people with a foreign background are the target of prejudice. She says that, okay, now you'll see he here, but the thing about the Finnish language is that they don't have gendered pronouns, so it's just like han. She says that there are people in the medical community who also have prejudices against women, sexual and gender minorities, and overweight people. She says, I've witnessed sexist speeches, derogatory comments related to women's appearance, and memes that are strongly associated with transphobia. So this goes beyond immigrants, and it's just bigotry in general. And it makes me wonder, like somebody who goes to school to become a doctor, you quite often hear and see these things about racism being more of a consequence of having less education, less formal education. And it makes me wonder, do they do these things because they know that they are so desperately needed in this country right now, that surgeons, doctors, nurses, that they're in this position where it's like, all right, who are you going to replace me with? Or maybe they're also aware of the dire situation, not just in, well, obviously the healthcare industry, because that's where they work, but just on a countrywide, on a nationwide basis, that they're in a pretty high social standing, and there is more that they can get away with because of this. That's really fucking sick, if that is how they think. But it's probably how they've gotten away with it for this long. That and just this general idea that doctors are these great, morally upstanding people who would never, ever do something like this. They would never be caught saying something like this or giving somebody a lower standard of care. And then for Roma people, of course, like Roma people are the target of even some people I've met who say they're not racist. They'll make jokes about Roma people, and they think it's okay because they have this idea in their head that Roma people are disgusting and making their country more disgusting, and they go into public restrooms and leave hair and shit everywhere. And like, I've seen natives in this country do some pretty disgusting things, especially at a Metallica concert. Oh my God, so many. So I'll just leave it at that. So to attack a group of foreigners based on how they make things disgusting is pretty rich, and it just goes to show you that they're just making shit up to justify their racism. This is a doctor in their 50s who said, again in Eastern Finland, Roma sometimes get worse treatment just because they're Roma. Even among doctors who are a little more aware, it is in a certain way accepted to think that the Roma have no reason to be here and to laugh at it when the whole family is working in the hospital. So basically laughing at them not only because they're in the hospital, but their family has taken cleaning jobs or, has taken some of those quote-unquote unskilled jobs that they just can't get natives to do, but yet they come over here and steal jobs, right? It's like just ridiculous. And the N-word, like many times during this article, you will see or read about doctors just profligately sprinkling the N-word around their conversations. Here's another doctor in the capital region in their 30s. I've witnessed a discussion last fall where doctors defend why it is necessary to be allowed to use the N-word, and that it is stupid that people in Finland are so sensitive that they don't call things by their real names. It's just, you expect this kind of thing from a high schooler or somebody in like middle school, or you expect this from kids. You expect this from people who just don't know any better, but these people do know better. These are educated people. These are people who spent years, decades in academia just to become doctors and turn around and wield their power to be dicks. When a lot of refugees came to Finland a few years ago, colleagues with a serious face wondered if they should start taking the children to school so that the refugees don't rape them. Again, another thing that has no basis in reality when the majority of violent sexual crime in this country is committed by white, Finnish, drunk men. And the majority of violent crime in general, again, white, Finnish, drunk men. But somehow this idea gets spread around that it's the immigrants who do it. But even doctors, even, again, so-called educated people fall for this crap. And they think it's based in some kind of reality, based in some kind of fact, when there's no factual basis, no reality, just your own prejudices, just your own racism. You should not be doctors. I don't care how much this country needs you. You should not be. I wish they didn't redact the names of these people. So at least I would know which doctors to fucking completely ignore or to run away from, to never, but that's just another one of the crapshoots of life, I guess. You never really know who you're going to get or who you're going to be dealing with. Opinions about Muslim patients or Arabs are presented that are really stereotypical, negative, and slanderous, and not at all based on truth, and questioning them is seen as a bigger problem than presenting them. So, yeah. In other words, it's seen as a much bigger deal to question the racism than to just be racist by these people. And of course, you see here, we dare not intervene. Especially young doctors do not always dare to intervene in the racist speeches of older doctors because they have a lot of power to influence the career progression of younger doctors. Power. Just another one of a billion examples of how power just does whatever the hell it wants. You give somebody enough power, they will take it and they will corrupt it. Not always, but it happens. And it's not something you ever want to hear happening with somebody who could literally one day be holding your life in their hands, to have to worry before you go in there. Oh my God, are they going to take my kidneys and my spleen? Are they going to harvest my organs? Like, okay, that's an exaggeration, but still, you get the idea going through this article that something as wild as that could actually be a possibility, that one day I'll wake up, I'll go to Yle, and I'll see some article about how a Roma person had their organs harvested because they declared them dead when they were not. Like, this is sad. This is all very, very sad, and especially coming as it does from a country that just cannot afford this kind of behavior. You can't afford this kind of behavior out of anybody, but especially doctors, especially people in the healthcare field. The healthcare field is going to become barren in enough time. It is going to really need people, really need workers. You're going to need nurses. You're going to need doctors. You're going to need people to take care of your aging population that's just getting less and less and less over time, fewer and fewer and fewer, whatever. And it's like, how is this supposed to help? How is this going to help? I don't see how it does. And somebody might say, well, if someone needs a job, if a foreign nurse wants a job badly enough, they'll come here and work. I don't know about that, because there are a lot of other countries on this planet, a lot of other places who could really use their help, and they might choose to go there over Finland because they're reading about how their fucking doctors and their fucking medical professionals are, with impunity, just really racist. And not only are they really racist and just laughing about the N-word and some off-color, racial jokes, but they are providing a lower standard of care based on the fact that they are not Finnish. This sucks. I don't know what you do about it. because these doctors have leverage. They have leverage. They can get away with shit like this, I guess. Who's going to step in and say, okay, you can't do this? Who is going to do fucking anything about it when you have the kind of issues this country has that necessitates these people keeping their jobs? It's sad. It's very sad, but would you really expect anything different given that the majority of people voted for a political party that is openly racist, that the majority of people voted for a political party that is openly anti-immigrant? It shouldn't really come as a surprise, but to think that the healthcare system of Finland is rapidly becoming as poor as the United States healthcare system, and then to think that issues like this are just going to make the matter worse. Goodbye to being the envy of the world, I guess. This is just really sick. But I hope that this was somewhat informative. Probably not nearly as informative as just reading the article yourself. But again, I see things like this, and I combine this with, like I said, record number of healthcare workers quitting the profession, Finnish nurses choosing Norway for better pay, for better benefits, for better treatment. All these things coming together, and the population getting older, and more people leaving the workforce, and more people retiring. It's like, these are all problems that are going to make this country uninhabitable unless something changes. And the first thing that's got to go is this government, and then other things to follow. But yeah, I hope that things change before they get a lot worse. Anyway, have a good day, folks.